Hey guys, welcome back. So today we're going to talk about Swiss military service pistols, and thanks to our friends at Edelweiss, we have access to some really interesting pieces here to show you this afternoon. So in 1900, the Swiss adopted a Luger, and this would be an example of a Luger that would have been adopted, and it was adopted in 30 Luger, which was the original chambering of the handgun. Now, unlike the Germans who adopted the 9mm version of this, this is one of the few examples out in the wild of a military service pistol that was actually chambered in 30 Luger. Again, the Germans preferred the 9mm, and the Germans were the primary users of the handgun. But you'll notice that this gun has some interesting features that aren't on the German military guns. There's a slightly different contour to the pistol grip here. It doesn't flare out at the bottom, it's just straight down. It has a grip safety. The manual safety looks noticeably different. And of course, on top, you have the Swiss cross. The Swiss put that cross on pretty much everything, and that's how you know it's a real Swiss-produced handgun. But this little handgun was dated by the time the Second World War came around, and the Swiss were looking to replace it with another firearm. So in 1949, now the Swiss did work on this. They had been working on this pistol throughout the Second World War. Even though they remained neutral, they didn't adopt the pistol until after the war, and that would have been in 1949. And that would be the pistol of 49, or P49. But we know it as the P210. So here's an example of a P210. Now this does chamber the 9mm Parabellum, or the 9x19. You can tell this is a military SIG P210 by its grips, which are polymer, and its prefix on its serial number, which begins with an A. Now there's a whole bunch of different variations of this handgun out there. A lot of them would be commercial versions, target pistols, things like that. But the actual Swiss military P210s would have that A prefix and would have fixed sights and these black polymer grips. And so this thing is just a very elegant pistol. And it's kind of got a reputation for being extremely precise in its manufacturing, which is obvious when you just run the slide on it. Now, when we field strip the pistol, we're going to show you some similarities that this handgun has to other handguns. And yeah, even though you may think it's just a simple Browning action, and it is, there's some other stuff that's going on in this gun I think you're going to find interesting. Now, we're going to go ahead and shoot the pistol. I'm going to put it down here for just a minute. Now, it does not have a magazine in it, and there's nothing in the chamber. But even with the safety and fire, that's safe, and this is fire, I can't pull the trigger and make the gun go bang. It has a magazine disconnect safety. So I'm going to go ahead, push up on the slide stop, lock the slide to the rear, put my ears on here really quick. All right. And this is what the magazine looks like for the P210. It's a 8-shot single stack magazine, and the handgun has a traditional European heel release on the magazine right here. All right, to make the weapon ready, you can put it on safe. Going from fire to safe is an unnatural movement, but going from safe to fire is very natural. So I use my left hand to put it on safe, but to charge the weapon, simply depress the slide release, and now the weapon's on safe and ready to fire. And with it on safe, pulling the trigger does nothing. The weapon will not fire. All right, 8 rounds of 9mm. Here we go. What a sweet shooting pistol. It's all steel, and it sets very, very low in the hand. As you can tell, it sets very, very low, and the recoil impulse is extremely mild. It's a true pleasure to shoot. All right, so this is its military holster. Now the guys over at Edelweiss have these available. They bring them into the country as they can. They're not in production anymore, so they're bringing in used guns. This is a used pistol, but this is its original military flap holster. Some guns that they sell may or may not come with a holster. They break it down on their website, what's available, what the condition is, and things like that, and that's going to drive the price of the guns. To release the magazine, you just push back on this little sheet metal tab. I'm going to push back on that with my thumb and pull on the front of the magazine, and it'll come out. Now with these European releases, you can see this has a pretty aggressive hook on the rear end of it. Let me pull my magazine back out of my pocket that's in my pocket with my transmitter. All right, so when I go to put this magazine in, I start it coming in like this, and I rock back and see how it pushes that heel release out of the way. Makes it a little bit easier to go in at that angle first. Now again, to charge the weapon, press on the slide release, and man, the action on this thing feels like it's literally on ball bearings. Don't forget that safety. Yeah, I love this thing, guys. There's a reason why these things are so desirable, and the reason is once you pick one up and fire it, words can't describe the elegance and how pleasurable it is to shoot because of its mild recoil, its very low bore axis, its controllability. You know, all steel means it has quite heft to it, so you're going to have a very difficult time lip wristing a firearm like this. I could do without the magazine safety, but man, what a sweet shooting pistol. All right, let's show you one more Swiss firearm that I know you guys are going to recognize for sure. In 1975, the Swiss were looking to replace the P210, or the Model of 49. And so they did that. They replaced it with another SIG pistol. And you're probably asking yourself, what's in this green holster? Most of you already know the answer to that question, so instead of a bunch of fake suspense, I'll just go ahead and show you. Let me get it out here. All right. So here we have the famous P220. Now you guys are probably thinking, oh yeah, 220, 45 ACP. Well, that's what it was on the US market. The original P220, which is the P75, because that designates the year of adoption, 1975, was originally a 9mm handgun. Yes, the P226 is a 9mm, but you know, the 220 started off as a 9mm and later became a 45. Now, just like its predecessor, the 210, you can see the Swiss cross right here on the top of the slide. You can see the serial numbers on the slide in the frame. There's that A prefix again. And then over here, you have the SIG logo. And of course, your fire controls are just like modern day SIG 220s, 226s, 229s, whatever, that entire generation of guns. Notice though that the magazine release is absent from here, and it's a heel release design, and then it has a lanyard loop. Now, Edelweiss has engraved the import marks discreetly on the bottom of the dust cover. On the 210, I want to show you guys this because this is really cool where they marked this one. On the 210, and this is so tactfully located that Jason may not be able to get a close-up, but I'll put my finger there, maybe you can focus on it. The import marks on the bottom of the frame, and when the magazine's inserted, it's not quite as visible because the floor plate comes out over them. I love that. I love discrete import markings. Okay, so anyway, this pistol is just like the SIGs we know and love here in the United States, the 22X series. So all your controls are the same. There's your slide stop, slide release. Oops, right there. And then you can drop this, let it go home, and this is your decocker. And of course we have the heel mag release. All right, so let's go ahead and load the pistol up. This one holds 9 rounds, so it's 1 extra round, still a single stack magazine, and we'll shoot the replacement of the 210. Now, of course, with the pistol like this, there is no safety, so there's nothing to be put on. The only real safety is the decocker, which safely lowers the hammer on a live round and then makes the gun a double action versus just a single action only, like its predecessor, the 210. And there we go. So yeah, this is pretty cool, guys. Now these things, this is the first time that they've shown up on the US market, but Edelweiss is importing them now. And again, they come in sporadically. It's as they find them overseas, and they will come in used, but some of them will have holsters like this, some may not. This particular one, which will be up on their website eventually, also comes with a spare magazine and included a magazine pouch. Has a belt loop on the back. And inside, we have another 9 rounds of 9mm. So we're going to go ahead and fire that out. So to release the magazine, I'm going to come up with my thumb once again, grab the front of the magazine, pull this one out. And now I'm going to insert the magazine, rock it back, make sure it's deeply seated, hit that slide release, and the weapon's ready to shoot again. Yeah, very familiar feel. This grip is extremely ergonomic. Even though the bore is a little bit higher above my hand, it doesn't make it recoil anything significantly more, I should say, than what I feel on the 210. The 210 definitely feels better in my hand. That's probably because of the more pronounced palm swell. And I just love the all-steel construction because that added weight definitely makes recoil mitigation a bit easier. But this gun, by no means, is unpleasant to shoot. It's a very pleasant shooting handgun. All right, let's run over and let's take the 210 apart. I'm sure you guys have seen a P226 before or something in the 220 series of pistols, so I'm not going to show you disassembly for this, but let's take a look inside the P210 and show you what's going on inside there, because I think you're going to find one other feature pretty interesting. Let's take a look inside of the P210, and I want to show you one feature that I find to be of interest. All right, so first we're going to go ahead and make the weapon safe. To do that, I'm going to drop the magazine out by pushing on the heel release and drawing the magazine out of the weapon. Now it does have a magazine safety, so even if I were to, go ahead and check, make sure the chamber's empty so I don't desk pop myself. Even if I were to pull the trigger, it's in fire. You can see the gun does not fire, and it will not fire until there's a magazine inserted, at which time, let's double check here, at which time it now fires, okay? So you do have that magazine safety. Drop the magazine out, and now we're going to check to make sure that the weapon's clear from the chamber. And I did that by pushing up on the slide stop, and you can inspect the chamber very easily. All right, now on the top here, you're going to find the Swiss cross once again, and drift adjustable dovetailed front and rear sights, just basic military sights. Now, to field strip it, it's just like a Browning action in this regard. I'm going to push on this little pin right here with my index finger. And as I do that, I'm going to draw the slide back. There's a takedown notch. It's just not visible to the user. So if you pull the slide back slowly and push on that pin, you'll eventually feel that pin pop up, just like it did right there. Now you can hold the pistol, and I hold it this way. Hold it in that position. Don't muzzle yourself, although you know, the safety sailors are probably still going to complain, and just work this pin out. It's a very tight fitting pin, okay? That just released the spring pressure, which I'm sure you just heard it click, and now the slide comes off. Even then, guys, this is just so smooth. You can tell it's hand fit. The way it slides is just like it's on ball bearings. I don't know how else to describe it. So now you can see on the inside, pretty conventional. But notice where the slide rails are, and this is the feature I wanted to point out. The CZ75 also uses the inverted rail system. So the P75 and the CZ75, two guns adopted about the same time, use the similar inverted rail system. So that means you do have full rails on the lower receiver and full rails on the upper receiver as well. Now, to take the recoil spring and guide rod out, you can see it's just a little bit different in its design. So I'm going to pull back on the spring and pull up. And it's a captive recoil spring, which you can see there. So it has kind of a unique cut to it, but it can be inserted either way. So in the field, it's grunt proof. All right, we'll set that aside. And now you just draw your barrel up into the rear, and there we have a straight up Browning action. This looks very similar to the 1911 or the P35 / high power. All right, so that's pretty cool. All steel. You have an external extractor right here, and it's held in by a pin on the top of the slide. It's just a well-made, well-thought-out pistol. And if you're a fan of the Browning design, this is a must. One of these days I got to get my hands on one of these. Put it back together. You drop the barrel in like that. And now you drop your recoil spring in and guide rod and let it go all the way down until it comes to a rest. And now you can put your frame rails where they've made up and go together. Push that back. And now you're going to pull this back. And this is going to be difficult for me to show you guys. But you can see if Jason can see me looking at him. You push it until you see a hole through here. All right, I see light. So now I can take the pin and start the pin. You'll notice that the pin has a very sharp taper to it, making it much like a cone shape. Put that in and push it across. And right here, you can see the takedown cut. So when the slide moves forward or back, that window, that cut, comes and goes. Now watch, you'll see the actual cut come into alignment on the top part of the slide, right there. All right, that's how I know I can now push the pin all the way across. And now the weapon is reassembled. Now you have that magazine safety, so you can't put the hammer down. You have to put the magazine in, and then make sure the weapon's on fire and lower that hammer, and you have your pistol put back together.
All right, so I've got the 210 here, and I mean, I'll just start off with what I don't like about it. One, I don't like the safety. I don't particularly care for it. The other thing is the sights. The 220 actually has a white vertical mark on the rear and then a white dot in the front. This doesn't have anything on it. It does feel like it's on ball bearings. I have to agree with Tim on that. This thing does feel really good, but in my big fat hands, I get slide bite with this handgun. Just the way I hold it. But I do agree that it has a very positive click to that magazine going in. So I'll give this one a try here. That does feel really good. There we go. Get that mag out. Set this one off to the side. Grab this 220. So if you see, I don't know if you can see it, we'll take a picture or what, but the markings on the sights are there. I feel that the trigger is better on this handgun. I like the fact that you can decock it and carry it with the round in the chamber, and the grip just feels really good in this hand, in my hand anyway. Take the old mag out. But yeah, this one's, I mean, you really got to press it in there to get that click. Chamber around, fire this one. Didn't lock open for me, but I probably had my thumb resting on that release, which could end up being a problem, but I don't mind it. I really like the handgun, but yes, the recoil impulse on the 210 definitely feels a lot better than the 220. Pretty cool stuff, though.
I hope you guys enjoyed coming out to the range with us this afternoon to shoot both the P210 and the P220, both available from edelweiss.com. And yeah, again, these guns will come in various conditions with various accessories, and the only way to find out what their actual cost is to swing by edelweiss.com and check out the products that they have listed on their pages. So I'm going to wrap this video up shooting the gun that I like most, which is the P210. I'm absolutely enamored with this handgun. This is one handgun I would love to have in my collection. I've avoided the new production SIG USA models. I want an original military 210 like this one. Maybe someday I'll be able to pick one up through Edelweiss. But if you guys would like to support us here at the Military Arms Channel, a great way to do that is to swing by Patreon and become a Patreon supporter. And you can do that by following the link down below. We are 100% viewer supported, and that's how we primarily monetize. But we also have a t-shirt store over at forgedfromfreedom.com. Go to forgedfromfreedom.com, check out the Mac collection, and purchasing shirts from the Mac collection will directly support the channel. And last but not least, please swing by and check out coppercustom.com, which is our online store. All right, guys, grab my last 8 rounds here and say goodbye to Mr. 210. Hey, Jason, where's that Edelweiss guy?
I think he's over there.
All right, screw him. I'm out of here.